In 1947, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, one of the 20th century's most celebrated polar explorers, reportedly embarked on a secret Arctic flight that would stretch the boundaries of geography, science, and even human imagination. Byrd was already a legend, famed for his Antarctic expeditions, his daring flights over the polar regions, and for establishing the celebrated Little America bases that became synonymous with American exploration in the frozen South. Yet what later surfaced in a so-called lost diary attributed to Byrd was something very different from his earlier scientific ventures. In it, he describes strange magnetic anomalies, sightings of prehistoric creatures, and even a radiant hidden city allegedly inhabited by an advanced inner-Earth civilization. Part history, part legend, this mysterious account continues to haunt explorers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Could it be that Admiral Byrd glimpsed a world beneath the ice, a world the surface has never truly seen? Or is this one of history's most elaborate myths? To begin to understand, we must return to the frozen frontier itself. Antarctica is not merely cold, it is a land defined by extremes. At the Ross Sea, winter temperatures often plunge below -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds, driven by katabatic currents cascading down from the polar plateau, can gust at more than 150 miles per hour. These winds slice across the barren landscape with lethal intensity, sculpting snow into serrated ridges and carving ice into towering spires. Along the coast, sheer ice cliffs rise like walls of a lost fortress, each layer a frozen record of Earth's ancient atmosphere, trapping air that may be tens of thousands of years old. The southern edge of this wilderness opens onto the Ross Sea, a vast bay sometimes called the graveyard of icebergs. Here, colossal slabs of ice calve from the front of the Ross ice shelf in thunderous crashes that echo across the emptiness, breaking away to drift as massive floating cathedrals of ice. Some of these bergs are larger than entire cities, their underwater bulk gouging deep scars across the seafloor as currents drag them into the Southern Ocean. Among this shifting labyrinth of ice, human presence is rare and precarious. McMurdo Station, established in 1955, stands as one of the few enduring footholds, an isolated hub of research, weather stations, and supply depots manned by crews who often endure months of solitude and relentless cold. Yet even with modern science and satellites scanning from above, Antarctica still guards its secrets fiercely. It was into this environment that the USS Edisto, an American icebreaker, ventured in 1963. The ship's mission was to navigate the treacherous Ross Sea, forcing a path through fields of drifting ice. One day, as the crew advanced cautiously, the lookout froze mid-observation. Ahead loomed an iceberg at least the size of a football stadium, its 9-story face gleaming under the pale sun. At first, it appeared ordinary, yet as the ship drew closer, an odd smear of darkness marred the pristine white halfway up its towering wall. At first glance, it seemed a shadow, or perhaps debris locked within the ice. But through binoculars, something startling came into view. Boards, fragments of canvas, and 4 thick poles protruding deliberately from the ice. These were no natural formations. They were remnants of human construction, frozen in place and carried adrift within this wandering mountain of ice.
The discovery electrified the crew. Was this the wreckage of a long-lost aircraft? Or could it be the remains of one of the legendary camps built by early explorers like Robert Falcon Scott, Ernest Shackleton, or Byrd himself? The idea seemed plausible. These men had carved out shelters across the Antarctic, painstakingly constructing wooden huts, storage depots, and radio towers in a landscape that swallowed most traces within decades. Byrd's own Little America 3, built in 1940, had been a sprawling base of wooden buildings, insulated living quarters, and a powerful radio broadcasting station that used towering poles to reach the outside world. The protruding poles frozen in the iceberg bore a remarkable resemblance to those once used at Byrd's base. Realizing the significance, the Edisto's captain dispatched a helicopter for a closer look. From above, the iceberg's secrets became unmistakable. Wooden planks formed the ghostly outline of walls. Weather-beaten tarpaulins, tattered yet still clinging, flapped eerily in the wind. Most striking of all were the 4 massive poles aligned in such a way that they could only have been positioned by human hands. This was no random debris. It was evidence of a camp, perhaps even parts of Byrd's own base, preserved in ice for over 2 decades. The discovery raised tantalizing questions. Had the iceberg captured whole sections of Byrd's camp as the Ross ice shelf calved into the sea? Could the famed Antarctic snow cruiser, Byrd's 37-ton mechanized marvel, also lie entombed within that frozen block, drifting silently for decades? For the crew of the Edisto, the site was more than an archaeological curiosity. It was a bridge between the heroic age of exploration and the modern scientific era, a frozen monument to human audacity and endurance. At the heart of Byrd's grandest vision stood the Antarctic snow cruiser. Designed in the late 1930s, it was one of the boldest machines ever conceived for polar exploration. Measuring 56 feet long, 19 feet wide, and 16 feet tall, this steel colossus weighed nearly 37 tons. It was intended to be nothing less than a mobile base, part vehicle, part laboratory, part living quarters. Inside, a 5-man crew could sleep, eat, and conduct research without stepping outside. It had bunks, a galley for preparing meals, a photographic darkroom for immediate documentation, and even a workshop for on-the-spot repairs. On its roof, Byrd planned to carry a small reconnaissance plane that could scout routes across the featureless ice. Its engineering was ambitious. 2 6-cylinder diesel engines powered electric generators that drove 4 huge motors, while balloon-like 10-foot-tall tires were meant to roll effortlessly across snow and ice. Yet it had a fatal flaw. The smooth tires provided almost no traction. In the field, it could barely move forward across soft snow. Ironically, it performed better in reverse, creeping backward across the ice like some lumbering beast. In the end, it managed only 92 miles before being abandoned and repurposed as extra storage at Byrd's base. By the time the Edisto found the iceberg in 1963, speculation swirled. Was the snow cruiser, that dream of mechanized conquest, still frozen inside, waiting to be rediscovered?
And yet, Byrd's legacy contains mysteries far stranger than any frozen machine. Decades after his death, a controversial manuscript surfaced, the so-called Lost Diary. Unlike his official Antarctic logs, this diary described a secret Arctic flight on February 19, 1947. If authentic, it told of a mission that carried Byrd not over endless snowfields, but into a world that should not exist. According to the diary, the flight began uneventfully. The aircraft lifted off with full fuel tanks, engines running smoothly, and normal radio contact with the base. But soon, their instruments began to fail. Compasses spun uncontrollably, gyros swung wildly, and radio transmissions cut in and out. Then, the unbelievable. Below them appeared lush green valleys, rivers and forests, thriving where the map showed only ice. Byrd reported seeing massive animals, creatures resembling mammoths or other prehistoric giants, moving slowly through the valleys. As if that were not enough, the diary describes the sudden appearance of enormous disc-shaped craft, metallic and gleaming, maneuvering effortlessly beside Byrd's plane. Marked with strange symbols, some resembling swastikas, these crafts seemed to exert control over the aircraft itself, guiding it toward a hidden city. The city, Byrd wrote, defied description. It glowed with crystalline structures that refracted light into shifting colors. Its layout was geometrically precise, advanced beyond anything known in the mid-20th century. The inhabitants, tall and fair-haired, radiated calm authority. Byrd was brought before a figure known only as the Master, who delivered a solemn warning. Humanity had unleashed atomic power without wisdom, and in doing so had endangered the world. Their hidden civilization, the Master claimed, had preserved fragments of human knowledge, keeping them safe until mankind proved itself capable of responsibility. Byrd, they said, must carry this message back to the surface. Whether this diary was fact, allegory, or fabrication remains hotly debated. Skeptics dismiss it as fantasy, perhaps born of isolation, exhaustion, or later embellishment. Others argue it represents a genuine but classified mission, suppressed because of its implications. Whatever the truth, the diary transforms Byrd from a pioneering explorer into a liminal figure, standing at the threshold between historical record and myth, between the known world and the possibility of hidden realms beneath the poles. What then do we make of Byrd's legacy? On one hand, there is the tangible history, the Little America bases, the Antarctic snow cruiser, the icebreaker discoveries of preserved camps. These are documented, photographed, and corroborated. On the other hand, there is the speculative narrative of the diary, green valleys in the Arctic, mammoth-like beasts, radiant crystalline cities, and a hidden civilization warning humanity against self-destruction. Together, they form a strange duality. The physical achievements lend weight to the legend, while the legend casts a shadow of mystery over the achievements. This tension ensures that Byrd's name endures not only in the annals of polar exploration, but also in the worlds of speculation and conspiracy. Even today, Antarctica remains both laboratory and enigma. Its colossal ice shelves may still conceal remnants of Byrd's bases, or even the snow cruiser, locked in frozen tombs drifting silently across the Southern Ocean. Meanwhile, the diary's vision of hidden civilizations continues to fuel speculation, inviting us to wonder whether there remain corners of the Earth where mystery and history are inseparable. In the end, Antarctica is both mirror and mystery. It reflects humanity's courage and ingenuity, while concealing secrets that defy understanding. Here, at the southernmost reaches of the planet, history and imagination converge. The frozen frontier holds both the achievements of explorers like Byrd and the extraordinary possibilities that remain just beyond the horizon. Perhaps that is why his story, part fact and part legend, continues to captivate. Because in the stark whiteness of the poles, where the known world ends, the human imagination cannot help but ask, what if?